2. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to this learning experience brought to you by Portworx by Pure Storage. So my name is Cody, and welcome to Techstrong Learning. We have an exciting panel ahead, but before we get this conversation rolling, I have a couple of housekeeping notes I'd like to review with you. First of all, we are recording today's session. So if you'd like to rewatch at a later time or share with your team, you will be receiving an email shortly after we conclude this live session, and that email will include a link to watch the on-demand version. If you'd like to engage with us, there are a couple of options to do so. The first and the easiest option is the chat tab, which you'll find on the right side of your screen. So if you see that chat tab, I'd like you to go ahead and let us know from where in the world you are joining us. If you have any specific questions, we do want you to send those questions to our Q&A tab. We're hoping to format this today to be more of a conversation based around questions, including your audience questions. So please do send those in as soon as you have them. We have a couple of handouts, including the slide deck that you're seeing on the screen. So feel free to jump over to that handout section and grab all of those additional resources. And before we close things out today, we are giving away 4 $25 Amazon gift cards. So be sure to stick around to see if you're one of our lucky winners today. All right, so our topic is building resilient data platforms for Kubernetes and continuous app development. And I'm joined today by Alex Da Silva, Senior DevOps Solution Architect, and Lue Alem, Senior DevOps Solutions Architect as well. Alex and Lue are joining us both from Portworx, the leader in enterprise-grade storage for Kubernetes. Alex and Lue are both savvy and seasoned cloud-native architects whose job it is to make some of the world's biggest companies successful with the data within their internal developer platforms. So we're lucky to have both of them here with us today, and let's go ahead and get this conversation rolling. So Alex and Lue, thank you. Platform engineering, and we're seeing this here at Techstrong too, but it's a top strategic trend in 2023. We're seeing this in our webinars, as you're seeing today, and in some of our articles that we're pushing out. So there are many opinions about whether stateful applications belong in Kubernetes. Lue, what is your take on data in Kubernetes?
Well, first of all, thanks, Cody, for having us here, and thank you for the audience for joining us in this webinar. As we all know, Kubernetes has achieved a critical mass adoption, right? So it became the platform for containerized application and to even drive business outcomes faster, right? So we're seeing, that instead of actually debating whether stateful applications belong in Kubernetes or not, right? The stateful application has made a natural migration over to Kubernetes. We work with a lot of companies. They're actually starting to migrate all their workloads to containerized application to run them in Kubernetes. A lot of them, they're writing their monolithic applications, to microservices. And really, when you talk about stateful and stateless applications, everything has a state, right? So it's really more of a perception. So you run a stateless application in a container, you can, get into that container, exit to the container, touch a file in that container. So that touching that file is a state, right? Now, whether you maintain that state to persist it, that data on a disk or not, that is a choice of the application. So everything really has a state, and the stateful applications has made their landing to Kubernetes, and we're seeing that really a growth in these applications, and more large enterprise companies are starting making the shift there.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes total sense. So to kind of turn this over to Alex now, since all applications actually have state, how can platform engineers go about managing that state in a simple way?
Hey, first of all, thanks, Cody, for the opportunity to participate here. And thanks, it's a pleasure to be here with your audience and talking with my colleague Louis about this really exciting topic here. Uh, well, the short answer is a data platform, right? Uh, to accommodate the evolution of DevOps into platform engineering and the next stage, and to make this data available everywhere to even more and more developer teams. Like data needs to be managed by a platform. Like as platform engineers, the team they continue to evolve to support a growing number of developers. Right, it's crucial that there's a good platform that the platform engineering team can use it to make that journey uh, easier and simple. In my point of view, right, what a platform engineer what he cares about, what a data platform can help the platform engineering team, right? It needs to first it needs to have a continuous application development, right? It needs to be cloud neutral. Means you build once, port anywhere, and you run everywhere, right? It needs a cloud operating model, a resilience enterprise grade platform, and finally, it needs to be dynamic, but it needs to be secure. So this is what we see that platform engineers need to manage data in Kubernetes, right? This is crucial for them. Something that helps them to in their automation, helps them making things easier in a way that they can support all the developers that are coming to their teams.
All right, Louis, anything to add on that?
No, it's exactly to what Alex was saying, right? So uh, the large enterprises institutions that Alex and we work in day in and day out, they really are looking for something resilient and be able to scale and have the large density. So when you work, for example, we have an education institution that we worked with. Uh, they roll out their online classes in computer science class. They roll it out. Uh, that's at massive scale. So it reaches out at during the peak hours of the season, like when the school starts and the exam starts happening. So it surges out to uh, uh, thousands of volumes, right? So you have thousands of volumes that, although they're small, but they're data in size, but they are a large number of the scale. So you need that platform that can support this density. So when you go to 10,000 volumes in your cluster, 15,000, 18,000 volumes in a cluster that's supporting your online class for the students when they're prepping for their homework or doing all their assignments. To be able to scale out at that massive, you need a resilient platform that can support that model for you for your application development, right? And that where really the state is for managing all these platforms.
So I know you and Alex both work with top enterprises on a daily basis. So how are most successful platform engineering teams building their data platforms? And do you have any examples of how a team can effectively get started with building their data platform? Louis,
Right.
you want to? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, so we all see, and and myself and my colleague Alex here, we agree, Kubernetes actually is the platform, and we see ways of that our large enterprise customers they try to automate the rollout even of this platform. So now it's not really just a standing the platform itself, just to automate the rollout of it. And all the managed solutions that are out there, they provide a way to automate the rollout of these of this platform, of the Kubernetes platform, whether that is running, for example, on the cloud, or it's running on the prem via one of the managed solutions. everybody's looking to automate, and that's where everybody's looking to do stuff like code now. Nobody really wants to go in and start typing, issuing commands line to start creating their platform. Nobody wants to glue things together manually to get it working. They want to go, they want to hit a button and gets everything rolled out. And that's what we see all the customers we have, larger enterprises. So we have, for example, a large manufacturing company, right, automotive manufacturer that automated the rollout of their entire platform, including the application to manage the state of their application automatically. So they use tools, some of like Tekton pipelines or Jenkins pipelines, right? So to build the cluster, to build the Kubernetes cluster from automated way, it gets rolled out into the production with a click of a button. So what ends up happening for this automotive company, they submit these jobs via Tekton pipelines. To go basically perform a specific tasks, right? So it builds up this Kubernetes cluster, which they run on OpenShift. So they run they run the Tekton pipeline. It goes generate the cluster. It goes installs all the prerequisite required applications, the plugins after the cluster stood up. And after that, it runs the tasks that it has to run. And then from there, if the cluster needs to still exist, it does exist. If not, there's a task in the pipeline to delinquish this cluster, and the cluster goes away. So we are seeing everybody looking to do things by code now. Nobody really wants to do things via command line or gluing this stuff together. And a lot of companies we have doing that with the state of their CI/CD pipelines.
All right, and Alex, what are you seeing across teams that are engineering their own platforms? What are you seeing as a trend for components that make it a successful platform, a successful product?
Yeah, so yeah, I have some examples of customers that I've been working in the past. So one good example is that I've been working with a customer for over 2 or 3 years now, and they've been very present on premises. They have all their deployment on premises and everything automated, a good CI/CD pipeline, everything's working fine. They're happy, dozens of clusters. And then recently they decided to expand to the cloud. Actually, they want to expand to all 3 major cloud providers. They want to go to AWS, Google, and Azure. And because they are using a data platform, in this case, they're using Portworx, the journey or the expansion for them was really easy. Just focusing on here on build once, port anywhere, run everywhere. They had to do just minor changes on their CI/CD pipeline, and they can deploy all their platform now on the cloud environment, and they can even port their data, their volumes, their PVCs to the other platform smoothly using the cloud data platform. It is very simple because they're using the data platform. Another example I have is that a customer that I was working with in the past, similar situation, but in this case they were running on premises and they want to move completely to the cloud. Portworx as a data platform, we have a feature they call PX Migrate. And this customer in particular, they have a very critical and a small maintenance window in a weekend that they had to move everything with minimal disruption in their production environment. And they used that very simple. In less than 2 hours, they were able to move all their data from on-premises to EKS, and everything was up and running after that. Minimal disruption in their production environment during that maintenance window. They're really happy. So this tells me that this is what I keep telling my customers, right? You need to have a good, resilient data platform to help you with that. Like I mentioned before, data is everywhere. When you are building your Kubernetes environment, when we're moving to Kubernetes, you need to keep data as a first-class citizen. You need to keep data as part of your architecture decisions and all this stuff. And you need to use a data platform that is resilient, that can help you, that will help you not in the beginning, not during the initial deployment, but help you in day two, like with help you minimize operations, help you automate uh, the data, help you grow your data presence without any impact, without having to redeployment. Uh, that's what we see that is something that our customers, I recommend to our customers, and I always see that our successful customers, they are doing because they're implementing that data platform.
So, Alex, tell me a little bit more about other features that engineers might require from a data platform.
Yes, one of the features that uh, what I know, like platform engineers, they don't like to go and make manual changes once when something goes wrong. Like we want to automate everything. We need to make sure that if something goes wrong, you have a data platform that they can auto recover that for you. When you're working from data, one good example that happens is that uh, you deploy users deploy their applications. They require PVCs, they create volumes, and those volumes initially they have a set amount of data. So let's say that in day one, an application team goes there, create a PVC 500 gigabytes, and they start using it, right? 3 months from now, 4 months from now, or even a week from now, that PVC is full, right? And then someone needs to manually go there and increase the size and to avoid like a application goes down, or even if no one is managing that, and if you don't have a data platform behind it, you can have an outage that uh, someone can be paged in the middle of the night just to go there and fix that. So if you use Portworx as your data platform, we do have something that we call PX Autopilot, that you can create rules that will automatically grow your data as needed. And obviously you can put caps, but you can create rules saying, okay, when my PVC reaches 50% of utilization, grow it 20%, but don't grow it more than 2 terabytes or something like that. So it helps automate, and it avoids someone being paged in the middle of the night to fix an outage. So this is one of the great features. This is something that I just mentioned uh, actually today to a customer that I'm working with now. I mean, you need to do that. You need to implement PX Autopilot. That will definitely help you and make your life much easier. We don't want you don't want to get a pager in the middle of the night just to increase the size of PVC. And if you're using Portworx as a data platform, that autopilot can do a lot more for you. Portworx uses pools, storage pools, and it can increases the storage pool as well, which will make more data available to your users. It can rebalance pools as needed, make you save data if you're using the cloud provider. So there are great features that you can do by using Portworx as your data platform.
Right, and just to add to what my colleague Alex said here, so that to touch on the autopilot, it also the cost saving for it in the cloud, right? So you do not need to provision, 1 terabyte, volume for your cluster, for example, right? You provision what you use, but the good part about this PX Autopilot, it's actually integrated into GitOps. So that rule that is implemented there, right? There's an API for it. You can get that integrate. It's integrated with GitOps or Bitbucket. So you'll get a notification sent to you, so to approve the update, the execution of the rule, right? So all that is fully integrated into the GitOps model. So as a DevOps engineer, you really manage all these from the GitOps, and you get the notification, and you'll go to your GitOps, so you approve it, or whether you approve it or you reject it, and based on your action, from the GitOps model, right? the autopilot will take the action based on what you provided.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, who doesn't want to save money today, right? So the X Autopilot, it's great. You can save money. The other feature also that I'd like to comment here or to discuss here as well is that when you are in your implementing your data platform, one thing that is critical is disaster recovery, right? Today, you're going to deploy. You have your Kubernetes clusters running in one single data center, for example. And if something happens, and we've seen in the past natural disasters, um, recently climate changes issues, it can break data centers down, and it can become your data can become unavailable. So having a plan for a disaster recovery is critical today. So when you use Portworx, we do have a very good solution for disaster recovery. You can have data replicated to a different data center. It could be to on-premises data center, or you can have your on-premises data center and replicate the data to a cloud provider. And if something happens to your main, to your active data center, you can almost immediately, with just a few minutes, just switch back to your disaster recovery or standby cluster, switch some pointers so all your users start using that data center, and in the matter of some minutes you can have all your applications up and running again and avoid data loss, avoid downtime, and specifically keep your customers happy. That is really important. I mean, if you're a user, you don't care what caused that. It could be something that humanly impossible to avoid, but as a platform engineer, you need to have a plan, a disaster recovery plan to avoid application downtime for years. This is critical, and the DR solution is something really important and really critical. And using Portworx, you can certainly have that implemented in your environment. And I believe, Luay, you have a little bit more details on that, on some experience for the
Right.
customer that you've been used, right?
Right. Yeah, as Alex said, right, when you're really building your platform, you have to draw out the requirements that you have up front and the SLAs you have with your end users, right? Because at the end, you're a platform engineer, you're delivering a product to that is your internal, whether that is internal customer to you, different work groups, different organizations within your company, or an outside customer, right? As you are a service provider and you have customers that using your services. So one of the requirements that a lot of large institutions, especially financial companies, they're bound to regulations. So, but the regulations require them to have a DR solution. So it is really not something good to have. It's a must-have. So they need to bind to the law to have the DR solution, right? Or it is internal SLAs that they have within the organization, right? They have an SLA internally to provide a DR solution in case of something happens. So as an example I gave you, imagine they take down, the pipeline that I was talking about, and you have this, manufacturing line going and doing these builds right in and out during the entire day, and something happens, that data center goes down. What's going to happen to these builds that they submit? And there's no other place to build them, right? You need this data center to be back up, or otherwise you're down. That's when your DR solution comes into the play. You can stand up that DR solution, DR data center, and your application will come and running up and within a minute of that failure. That's where your SLAs with the customer, right, happens. We have customers actually also by regulatory, they are required to run their data centers across cities. So they're on 3 months here, and the next 3 months they are running in the DR center in the other city. So it's really not a DR station. It's continuously relocating the data, and so their builds, their Jenkins, the clusters, their Tekton pipelines, all of that is running across data centers, right? So you don't have a single point of failure, and that's the key of having a DR solution.
So you both have touched on on-prem, cloud, backup and recovery, and mine kind of leads me to think: does this work with multi-cloud? What about hybrid of cloud and on-prem? How do you go about making that data available in any environment, no matter the zone or application requirements?
Yeah.
Alex, do you have any thoughts?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, if using Portworx, I mean, one thing that we like to say about Portworx is Portworx is cloud neutral, right? So it doesn't matter if you start working on prem or if you start working on cloud. It is very easy to move data from one environment to the other. We do have customers, multiple customers using Portworx in various environments. We have actually we have several customers now that they do want to have something on premises and something on cloud. And when they are on cloud, they also want to have multiple clouds available for them. They don't want to lock in a single vendor uh, for for different various reasons, right? So with Portworx, it's very easy and simple to do that. When you deploy Portworx as a data platform, uh, Portworx understands any of these cloud environments and understands your on-premises environment. It doesn't matter what you have as your backend data, Portworx will use it and your applications and present it to your applications in a simple and same way, no matter what is behind it. So when you want to port your application and move it from one cloud to the other, or move from on-premises to the cloud, or vice versa, coming from the cloud to on-premises, everything is very easy. Everything is simple, and we had several customers that have been doing that, and it's very easy for them. Even if they are not using Portworx and they want to come to the Portworx, we can help them on that journey and make them unlock them from that vendor lock or that vendor dependency, because that's something that is built in our platform.
Right. Right. And to just add to what Alex was saying for the multi-cloud. So we have a large insurance company that we've been working with for over 4 years now, right? At Portworx. Uh, they are they're spread across all clouds. They're on Google, they're on AWS, they're on Azure. So they are in US and EMEA, Europe, right, and they're all actually in Asia as well. And so you need a common when you are the platform engineer building your platform, right? You look at the common platform that you could use across all these cloud providers. As a platform engineer, when I work with the storage on, for example, on AWS for my Kubernetes cluster, it's a different provider. It's going to be for Azure. It's going to be different for GCP. So having a common control plane, common data platform across all these clouds, that's going to give me the same feeling. I'll go in, I'll create my volumes, my backups, my persistent data, my DR scenario, my DR solution is the same, whether I am running on Google, whether I'm running on AWS, on Azure, on-prem, right, on bare metal, on virtual, on virtual machines. It does not matter, right? It's the same exact commands that I'll be issuing to can manage and control all these environments across all platforms. So that's really a key, because if you need, that single customer, imagine, spread across all these clouds. Now you need to have somebody really, skills with, the storage on Azure, the storage on AWS, the on vSphere, on whatever they have using on-prem for storage, and you need it on Google. So it's hard to find a skill set for somebody to maintain all these, right? And it's a lot of work on top of it. So having a single, a common platform that across all major providers, that's really a key.
Yeah, very good point. I mean, one thing that I like what Louis mentioned is about the skills. It's very difficult today to find skills. If you want to use multiple platforms, it's difficult to find someone that will have skills on every single cloud, right? So when the platform engineers, when they provide a data platform for the developers, like if this data platform is cloud neutral, the developers, they can write their applications and they don't even know what's behind the platform, right? When they use Portworx, they can write once, and if they write, for example, an application, they request a PVC. The PVC is created in an AWS environment. If 1 year from now that customer decides to move to Azure, for example, or to Google, or move back to on-premises, developers don't have to change the application. The application will still keep working on this different platform. So it is really important that the platform engineering team finds a data platform that will make developers' life easier, and it's going to help the platform engineer as well, because they don't have to worry about working with the developers to migrate their data, to rewrite code and things like that. Everything should be easy. Everything build once, run anywhere. That's what I like to tell my customers every time that I work with them.
So I know every platform engineering team is going to have their own unique criteria for what establishes data as critical or not. So what are some things that you've seen across the board that may be non-negotiable for most successful customers when it comes to data requirements?
Yeah,
Louis, do you
well,
have any thoughts there?
yeah, we touched on this, a little with the DR. So DR is one of the key requirements that we talked about it, right? And the other thing also, the backup of your data. And a lot of, there are a lot of tools out there that, that could try to let tell you the backup is really a DR. It is not. So there's totally a difference between having a backup and a DR. When you have an DR, your data is replicated, whether synchronously or asynchronously, to other data set, right? So whether that data became bad, you replicated that bad. Whether that data is still good, you replicated that good. So that is the DR scenario. The other is really having, when you're doing a backup, right? You need to be able to get to a point where something happened to the platform, somebody either deleted drop tables mistakenly, or somebody came in, rogue employee came in, and deleted data, changed something they were not supposed to, and you need to be able to bring that data back. And a lot of the customers we work with, by regulatories, as I said, and SLAs, they're required to have a daily or a midday backups, right? That's for security reasons. For example, I work with really another large institution that mainly running on Azure. They are actually they take volume snapshots 1 hour, just in case of something happens with ransomware to these applications, to protect against that, right? So that is something these companies really must have. The company, one thing I try to tell, all the customers I work with, your company is your data. If you lose the data, the company exists with the data, right? A company is a data. There's no data, there's no company, right? So that data needs to be protected and made also highly available. So these really two keys to it.
Yeah, just to add what Loay mentioned, uh, I start seeing that with all the most of my customers. Yeah, backup of the data is non-negotiable. We need to have every customer that I work with today. They do have internal SLOs and SLAs that they need to keep certain number of backups of their data, and the data needs to be easily recoverable. So again, using a data platform that provides a robust backup application also definitely will help platform engineers in that journey. Um, one one nice features that I see in our PX backup product is that it is we do have now an integration with the Object Lock S3 object store, so we can protect the applications from ransomware, right? The data can be securely backup and cannot be modified anywhere. So that would help on ransomware situations. And again, together with backup, security is another very area that we are seeing customers more and more focused on. So the data needs to be 100% of the time protected. They need to control access. Like another features that I see as in a good data platform solution is they need to control access. And when I mean control access, uh, we're seeing we're seeing a lot of customers using Kubernetes. Like usually, you don't have a Kubernetes cluster for each team in your organization. Usually, you have multi-tenant in your Kubernetes cluster. So you need a secure solution that you can have multiple teams with different roles uh, working on the same Kubernetes system, and at the same time, you need to ensure that your data is protected, right? So Portworx also has some uh, security and RBAC or role-based access control that you can implement and protect your data, making sure that only whoever needs access to the data can access the data, even if everyone is using a single Kubernetes cluster, right? This is really important. I'm seeing customers asking more questions and asking my help on how they can implement that, how they can secure the data, and at the same time making sure the data is available all the time as well.
Right. And one thing, Cody, to what Alex was saying, a lot, as a DevOps, and a platform owner, right, platform engineer, your end users mostly they're, the developers, right, application developers, that's the end user. They don't really care about what your platform, what they're running. They have an application, containerized application that they want to run, maintain, and develop with a click of a buttons, right? They whether you back it up, you don't back it up, and we see the platform engineer do not want to take on more responsibilities. Like it's their application, their data. We want to provide this as a self-service to them. I'll maintain the platform. They need to maintain, whether they want to back up their data, they don't want to back it up. It's their responsibility. They know how to back it up better than I do, because at the end, the platform engineer is not a DBA, right? He is not a database administrator, that familiar with Mongo, Postgres, MySQL, etc. Right? So you want to hand this as a self-service from DevOps perspective as a platform engineer to make your job easier, first of all, so you don't carry on more responsibility for your end users, and also what you want to provide the freedom for your developer, with restrictions and the security in place to do them what they want. And so that platform, the data platform you're talking about, it needs to have this API endpoints that really my application developer can integrate this with the API without them the need to actually go log into, to the Kubernetes cluster, for example, and click on, back up their volumes, or how do I back it up, right? You need the tool out there that gives you an API that your application developer can invoke that from their application to protect their application or not, right? So that is really something you need to look at from perspective, a platform engineer perspective, when you're building your Kubernetes platform.
Awesome. So it looks like we are coming close to the end of our planned session. So I did just want to go ahead and pop up this summary slide. And I wanted to have both of you look at it and make sure that we did cover everything that we're seeing on here. Was there any final points that we touch on the summary slide that you think maybe we haven't dove deep enough in on?
No, yeah, I think absolutely. Just to reemphasize what I said in the beginning, right? Um, a data platform, it should have all these five aspects that we discuss here: continuous application development, uh, build anywhere, build once and run anywhere, right? A resilient platform, a secure platform, high available. All these five features are really important in a data platform. And we want platform engineers to use something that will be helpful for them, will help them to make their developers happy. And when they look for a data platform, they should look on all these aspects here. That will make it much easier for them. And I know Poleworks can help platform engineers in that journey. Louis, any other points that you
Yeah,
want to emphasize?
thanks, Alex. Yeah, so there are really a lot of, this is just a few points of what Portworx really offers. There are a lot of things from the DevOps perspective and development engineer as well that really Portworx can do. I strongly encourage you to just visit portworx.com to go over the materials we talked about, and you get the option to test drive some of the tools we have out there as well. Also, they're really a key product we have from the application development perspective that fits really to the model of the DevOps, which is PDS, the Portworx Data Services, right? With the click of a button, that gives your developer the option actually of rolling out their database, their application that required with the click of a button. You'll get the size they want, small, medium, or large deployments, and that will roll out their application without the developer the need to know how do I roll out, a Postgres application into Kubernetes. We see this a lot of, believe it or not, you might see it in your community as well within your organizations. You'll get some of the app developers, they're trying to deploy an application in Kubernetes, and they're not Kubernetes experts, right? They're missing the key points into rolling out this application into Kubernetes. So you need, a platform that supports and gives your end users the tool, and that one of the stuff, the tools we have at Portworx is called PDS, Portworx Data Services. It actually with the click of a button, as I mentioned, it rolls out the entire database for your end user without them the need to be a Kubernetes expert or know actually how Kubernetes works.
And you can run it in any platform.
Correct.
This is
Yes.
really important.
Anywhere.
You
Yep.
can run it anywhere, right? You can run it on a cloud environment, on premises, anywhere. It fully supported on that. That's really an amazing product. Thank you.
It is. It's really a key to for as Alex been saying, we really tell our customers, you really want to build once and deploy everywhere. I don't want to build it to run on-prem and then do a different build to run on Kubernetes. That defies, the move to cloud native, the move to Kubernetes, right? That brings us back to the old monolithic days that I have to build my application specific to run on a bare metal or run on a VM or run on a Linux or run on Windows. That defines the whole purpose of containerized application. You want to build once and run everywhere. That's the key.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have this thank you slide up, but we are not cutting things short just yet. We have some time for questions. So Alex and Lue, I'm just going to start taking some of these from the top. So when striving to build resilient data platforms in Kubernetes, what are some of the biggest challenges that organizations face? What might be holding them back from developing an effective Kubernetes or data platform?
I think one of the main challenge is that when they try to deploy their data platform in Kubernetes without a data platform solution that can provide the features and provide the capabilities that we just discussed. Um, when you start your journey, you're deploying applications in Kubernetes, stateful applications in Kubernetes, for example, and you don't have a solution behind you that will provide you high availability, will not provide you resilience, will not provide you a secure environment, will not provide you tools that you can back up and recover your data, cannot provide you tools that you can create a disaster recovery solution. That is going to be a big challenge, right? Uh, what we recommend in this situation is that when you're going to start doing that, uh, take some time to understand what's going to be the implications. If you're just going, I would say, for example, you deploy your application in a cloud environment or even in on premises, and where does your data reside? What happens if one of the nodes in your cluster goes down? Will your data survive? Right? Will your application be able to run in a different node and access the data? Right? What happens if you're on premises and your cluster goes down? How can you recover that data? So all these questions you need to make to yourself, and then try to find a data platform that can help you in all those aspects. Louis, not if you want to
Yeah,
add.
yeah. So to add what Alex was saying, we see a lot of the customers when they try to make the journey to the cloud native, they choose the platform to run on, right? Uh, One of the things like you need to define, what orchestrator you're going to use. There are really multiple out there that are, to consider from, and that's where a lot of institutions and organizations we work with, they choose to run. Do we choose the managed solution? Do we choose the supported solution? Do we choose the Kubernetes, just the off-tree solution? And we have customers running, believe it or not, all of them. We have customers running the off-tree solution. They're really very, very savvy. So they basically supporting Kubernetes on their own using the community edition and supporting it. We have customers using the supported edition, like from OpenShift or Rancher, for example, or you're running on the cloud, they're using the cloud providers, right? And then that really becomes like, that's mostly the challenge, that they start with. Once they have the company policy, they choose one vendor versus the other. You get some companies, they go, they will not use AWS, or they will not use Azure for various, obvious reasons, right? So they'll go, with the other cloud provider, and so that choice already has been made for them, whether they like it or not. They'll become to us, they'll come to the point is like, now I know my platform, so I defined what the platform is looking like. Now I need to build on top of it. Now I need this common control, data platform layer that I build on top of it, that I am not vendor locked in. So you really start at, with this layer at a time, right? you need to have your platform, your Kubernetes platform, defined first, and then you'll go to the next layers. Like, I need this data platform that's going to support my clusters, right?
All right. Well, thank you both for that really thorough answer. This next question, I think, asks for a bit of a shorter answer, and I'm going to ask both of you to give me different answers. So what would you say is your top tip for building an effective, efficient data platform?
The top tip. There are several points. I'll see if I can give a short answer here. I would say, instead of what they do, I would say don't do it. Don't just rely on a, a native CSI provider and thinks that if you use just a native CSI provider, it's going to give you all your data, your data platform. A single CSI provider, it's not a data platform. It's just a quick plugin, a pipe that will create, I would say, some data for you, but it's not a data platform. So my recommendation is, don't rely on vendors that say, I have this CSI provider and this is your data platform. That's not true. I mean, look for a complete data platform for your data needs.
Agreed, 100%. So basically, I would really look for a common data platform that I can run on my on-prem, and I can run it whether if I have multi-cloud, running on cloud provider, or that definitely be the number one I look for. And I strongly encourage you to, when you do look for solutions, look for these solutions, because we, from past experience, we've been doing this for really a very, very long time. And, we've been at Overworks for 5-6+ years, right, running this. So we know what's out there, and we've seen what customers go through. You run it, you build something to run on a specific platform, and then all of a sudden the direction shifts within your organizations. Is like, well, we need to now to go do things on Google, for example. So all of a sudden, whatever you built on platform needs to be changed to be, run on Google. So from the get-go, look for a common control, data platform control plane that you can build on once and roll out everywhere, right? That's really key. You need to look for make sure that solution is secure, highly available. Really, that's a key point. You need the high availability. You cannot afford for your end users, your developers will come screaming at you if they see their application not performing. They start their application and they see it's taken, there are really delays and latency. They will, that's a key. So you need something performant, scalable, right, and you can maintain the density. That's really a key, because trust me, it will increase. You may see your applications, and I'll give a quick example. I know we're coming up on time here. I worked with a customer 4 years ago. We built the very first cluster. They did not really, they were just building their platform. They did not have that many users, right? So they only decided to have a percentage of their nodes that runs for stateful applications. And so they took 30% of the nodes, right? They had 30 node cluster. They said, we're going to have 10 nodes there. We'll run the stateful applications on them. And the other 20 nodes, we have run applications that we really don't want to persist the data on. So it will be for just stateless. What happened a year later, all of a sudden, is like this 10 nodes became actually more and more condensed. And now the stateless ones is like less consumed. And all of a sudden they ran out of resources. They tried to roll out more applications, and all of a sudden there are no compute resources to run them, because they started adopting more and more stateful application, right? So they had to grow this. So when you grow, a plan for growth, have the platform you build, the data platform able to scale with your environment, right? So you need to keep this in mind because things definitely change. Nothing stays the same, and it will scale and it will grow. And you need something that supports that when you build your platform.
Perfect.
All right. Well, Alex and Lue, thank you for that. We are at the end of our session today. So thank you so much for attending. I do just want to remind everyone that this session was recorded. You will receive an email with a link to access the recording on demand. You can also find it living on the Cloud Native Now website. Just go to cloudnativenow.com/webinars and look in the on-demand section. You'll find this living there by tomorrow morning, absolutely. So thank you so much for attending, everyone. Before I let everyone go, a few more things. The 4 winners of our $25 Amazon gift card drawing, they are Richard B, Mike M, Adrian B, and Burak K. So to the 4 of you, keep an eye on your email inbox. I'll be emailing you here shortly to get that gift card over to you. If you don't see an email from me, check your spam folder just in case it happens to get filtered out. I'd like to thank Portworx for sponsoring our program today. And to everyone who still hears my voice, thank you so much for being here. If you stick around for 1 more minute, you will be funneled into our post-webinar survey, and we would love to hear your thoughts, whether they are about today's program or topics for future programs. We would love to hear your feedback. Otherwise, we do hope to see everyone at a future Techstrong learning experience. Have a great rest of your day, and Alex, Lue, thank you so much for joining us today on Techstrong Learning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.